Asexual reproduction. I told you asexual reproduction means reproduction in which only one parent is involved. Budding. Budding is one of the methods of asexual reproduction in some lower forms of organisms like Hydra. In this form, an offspring develops as a bud from the parent body, and it grows and finally detaches from the parent to develop as a new individual. So as you can observe, only one parent is involved. Similarly, another form of asexual reproduction is binary fission, as it is seen in amoeba, paramecium, etc. Here also, the nucleus of the parent starts dividing first, and then the cytoplasm divides, and the end result is that two daughter cells or two organisms are formed. So this is called binary fission because two organisms are formed, as is found in amoeba, paramecium, etc. So these two methods also that I told you, both of them are asexual modes of reproduction because it involves only one parent. Besides these two common methods, the other methods are also there of asexual reproduction like regeneration, multiple fission, fragmentation, etc., about which we will be studying in the other classes. Now, there are some artificial methods in reproduction also. What is that? Let us learn about in vitro fertilization. Means what is it? It is the birth of a test tube baby. It is a term that refers to a child that is conceived outside the woman's body. This process is called in vitro fertilization, means outside the body fertilization is occurring. Why is it happening like that? Because the eggs are removed from the mother's ovary and fused with the sperm or incubated with the sperm from the father. Then they are allowed to fertilize. After fertilization, the pre-embryos are allowed to divide 2 to 4 times in a test tube, and then it is returned back to the mother's uterus where they develop normally. This is usually happening or done for the ladies, for those mothers in whose cases the fallopian tubes or the oviducts are not functioning properly. So it is an artificial reproductive technologies and are used when conception or reproduction is not possible due to certain problems, either in the father's case or in the mother's case or in both the cases. So this is an artificial method of reproduction and it is called in vitro fertilization. Now we go over to the last topic of this chapter, that is cloning. What is cloning? It is a process by which an entire organism is reproduced from a single cell taken from the parent, and in a genetically identical manner, organisms are formed. This means that the cloned copy is an exact duplica in every way of its parent. You might have heard about the Dolly sheep that was made as a clone. Cloning happens quite frequently in the nature. Asexual reproduction in certain organisms and the development of twins from a single fertilized egg are also examples of cloning. Okay, so even the birth of twins is also an example of cloning. So cloning is because of more advancement in biological technology, and it is now possible to carry on with this artificial process. But then in the case of human beings, it is not that successful artificially because there are a lot of demerits. The cloned animal might be identical in genetically, they are exactly identical, but it is now possible to create clones also. But the process of fertilization was simulated by giving some electric shock or by some other chemical treatment method. But then lifespan or longevity of the organism cannot be guaranteed when the cloning is done. Okay, so this was just a brief introduction or brief idea about cloning, but this topic is not so important for your examination. It is just for your information. Okay. Now we go over to the conclusion of this chapter. Children, as I told you, the reproduction is a very important part or very important aspect of our life. So without reproduction, there would not have been life. So we will learn a little more about the important terms in this chapter when I show you some slides. Okay, thank you.